I'm Sky,
I'm in.
and today we're going to be talking about some of the conventions of film posters and magazine covers. So, to start with, film posters have many different conventions. Just to summarise, the first thing that they've got to have is they've got to be eye-catching and captivating to the audience. So they need a large focal picture and also a large title. So, because these are the main points that you're going to want the audience to remember.
We need an image that clearly defines the film genre. Like, for example, we're doing horror. We need like eerie pictures of blood.
Yeah. It basically just needs to be designed. Its main point is to bring in a large audience to watch the film. So it's just got to be good.
We need the indication of film release, like coming soon or in series in December.
And also it needs to have a billing block which will feature the directors and production companies. It's usually quite small because these aren't details that the consumer needs to remember.
And then there's reviews that other people have thought of the film. It makes you want to watch it because everyone else has liked it.
So, film posters. So to start with, we have a film poster for Star Trek. And the colour scheme, we have lots of dark colours which gives off the impression of adventure and danger. And the blue also fits the space theme, because obviously outer space, blue. And the colour scheme is targeted at males. They are stereotypically masculine colours. And we also have white at the back, which helps make the main characters stand out a bit more.
As you can see, there's two images edited together, which makes it more interesting, but they both indicate like the genre, especially the one at the bottom, the smaller one. As you can see, the UFO. The top picture shows the protagonists. It shows the celebrity culture like today. You see the more popular actors and actresses and think, oh, I'll watch that film because I know them. We've got serious facial expressions, which makes
It represents the serious nature of the film.
I think Chris is the more bigger front focal point because he's like the more famous and more. He's the main character basically.
It's like celebrity culture, isn't it? It's like people are going to see him and want to go and see the film just because he's in it. So the title as well, that's quite large and in 3D bold font. That's the main thing that you're going to want your consumers to remember, because then they're going to go, oh yeah, Star Trek, I want to see that film. Also, the names of the directors and the people in the film, they're at the bottom, but they're a lot smaller. The release date's also there. It's slightly bigger than the rest of it because that's a bit more important than who directed it. So our next poster, we have a clear contrast in genre. It's obviously a bit more romantic and a bit more of a girly film. The poster, that consists of three main images, and the first image is of Miley Cyrus, who is the main character in the film. She's the most prominent, so again that's going to just draw in more consumers. Obviously the target audience is teenage girls, and at this time, before she went crazy, she was quite a role model to teenage girls, so they're going to want to see that. And then we also have Liam Hemsworth behind her. He's looking away and the opacity of the picture is reduced, so this kind of makes you wonder, like, why is he like that? Maybe he's not a permanent figure in her life, something happens. And the bottom image, that's quite an affectionate image as well. It's showing familial love, so it kind of implicates that it's maybe a coming-of-age film because it's to do with family as well. And the mise-en-scène, that is also being took into account, so the setting, it's on a beach. So that's often associated with relaxation and just escaping from stress, things like that.
You're welcome. At the bottom we have a billing block. It's in white colours, which makes it stand out in the release date. That's the bigger and bolder, because it sort of tells the audience when it is. It's like a selling point. Billing block. And the title's in sans serif font, just serif font. It's classic, like more romantic feel to it. And it's also the biggest, which builds up more hype about the film. At the bottom there's a billing block in small writing, but then there's a release date in bigger writing because it's more important and it's more selling point. There's the title in the middle in serif font, which is classic, like got a classic look to it, it's romantic. The white makes it stand out more to the rest. In the middle,
Just above it.
yeah, just above it, yeah, is the name dropping of the famous characters in it.
Yeah.
The tagline. It's quite a long tagline because normally they're quite small. But this gives away like more of the about the film, like first loves, like coming of age, well, teenage.
Yeah. It's directly aimed at teenagers, isn't it? Because they're all experiencing the first loves. It's interesting to them.
Yeah, and at the top they've got the Nicholas Sparks books, which have been made into famous films, which are well known romance films.
Yeah. So if anyone else has read any of those books or seen any of them films that they've liked, they're like, oh yeah, I want to see this one. It's got to be good.
And then we've got the colours, which are more peaceful pastel, feminine colours, appropriate for the target audience, and just makes it look romantic.
Okay. So for the next ones, we focused in a bit more on our chosen genre, which is horror. And for our first film, we have Friday the 13th. So the title for that one, as you can see, it's in bright red writing, which stands out a lot, and that obviously has connotations of danger and blood. The font also looks slightly damaged, which kind of gives off the impression that the film's going to be a bit rough and dangerous. And that is the only writing on there that's in red, apart from the date at the bottom, which is also February the 13th. How ironic. And also, we have the name dropping of Texas Chainsaw Massacre just above the title, which that is both the original film and the remake of the film are very popular. And they also contain a lot of gore, so it gives off the impression that this film's also going to be very gory. And again, we also have the billing block at the bottom, which has the release date and all of the other information, such as the directors, names of people involved. And then also at the bottom, below the billing block, we have the logos of the production companies. I think that makes it look quite authentic, and that's probably something that we could put into our poster to make it look more real. And the tagline, that's very ironic, the word welcome, that's obviously makes you feel quite safe, like you're going to a nice place. But then that juxtaposes a lot with the image of the psychopathic killer, which is just below it.
We've got the black background, which is scary. It makes the text stand out a lot more, and got the little bit of light behind it, which it makes you like think that we've got a glimmer of hope that like they could escape. But it also outlines the villain more, makes him more like seen.
Prominent.
Got the lighting very dark. It's a very dark poster, and it makes it more eerie and sinister atmosphere. Then we've got the dark and light colours, which suggest that there could be binary imposition in the film. For example, good and bad. The light enables you to see the woods, so it's not a safe place. Really.
Yeah, I think as well with it being in the woods, it's like there's no civilization around either. So it's like they can't call anyone to help. It makes it look even more eerie.
Yeah, and the villain wearing a mask, so he's very hidden, like mysterious person, and he's on his own, so he's very isolated. And he's holding a machete. Obviously not associated with death and murder and not good things. The mise en scene is like away, like I said, it's away from the civilization, so no help is needed.
Next film we chose was The Conjuring, which is slightly different subgenre again because it's paranormal, whereas the first one's more of a slasher. And in this one we have the image which kind of acts as an establishing shot. It shows where the film is set, and your eyes are initially drawn to the tree as it's the darkest, the boldest and the biggest. And you can't miss, once you look at the tree, you can't really miss the noose that's hanging. And then obviously that has connotations of death, suicide, hanging. So you know that something not very nice has gone on there, and it's got to be significant because it's included in the poster. So it creates a bit of mystery. You want to find out what's going on with that. Next, you notice the house in the background. It looks quite old-fashioned, so it's been built quite a while ago, so it's going to have a lot of history attached to it. So obviously some not nice things have gone on in that house. No, they have not. And so yeah, it's quite an eerie look. And then the colours that are used are also really old-fashioned, and there's a lot of fog going on, which creates an eerie atmosphere as well. That's quite a typical convention of horror. There's fog on the other one as well. Yeah. It's it's also kind of like pathetic fallacy, because if there's fog and the grey skies and stuff, you can tell something not very nice is going to happen. It immediately gives away the paranormal genre, as you can also see when your eyes move down and you notice this little guy down here, this little shadow, because there's nothing there that can be creating that shadow, there's nothing hanging, so it is like it initially shows you that it's paranormal. And it's not very obvious either, it's kind of the last thing you've noticed, so it gives you a bit more of a shock when you notice it, which obviously with horror, shocks are a key part of it.
Yeah. The title is the main text. It's very bold and it's dark in the middle. It's got serif font and it seems sort of old-fashioned, like relates with pictures. The tagline used, true case files, based on true case files, makes it seem more makes it seem more real for the audience and more scary that it could happen to them, sort of thing, and it makes you more intrigued to watch. And then above that we've got the mentions of the films by the director, but they haven't used the use of director's name. They've just used the titles of the other films because it's more famous.
Yeah, the common public aren't going to know what the director is necessarily, but they're more likely to know what the films are.
Yeah. If people like, the building block in the bottom is white, stands out, and then again we've got the coming soon pictures.
So now we're going to just take a look at some magazine covers as well, and again we're just going to go through the basics of magazine covers. So obviously the main point is to draw in an audience and try and persuade them to buy the magazine.
We want a clear masthead as this shows the company's title.
It's also got to have the same house style throughout the whole magazine, so the same fonts, the same colours, as this makes it look a lot more professional.
Any other additional information like price, barcode and the date?
It's also got to have anchorage text, so this will advertise the main features, and they can also be found like inside the magazine. They've got to kind of stand out.
Image should reflect audience and style of magazine, so reflect what the film's about.
So, our first magazine, we looked at Total Film, and as you can see the masthead, it's in big block letters, and that's going to be the same on every cover, so it's easily identifiable. The main image though is covering the masthead, so that shows that it is quite an important image and they're quite important people as well. And it also shows that the magazine has a good reputation, as they're relying on people to already know what that masthead says without being able to see the full writing. Again, the font size and the font is always going to be the same on that. The strapline, where we have Man of Steel, that stands out as it's in a steel looking effect, and it's also right in the centre of the page, so your eye's going to be drawn there. And just below that we have repetition of the word new, so that's kind of showing that he's been reinvented, so newer people are going to think that that's better. They're going to think, oh, it'd be better than all of the rest of the Superman films, and want to see it. And then again, the question mark on the end of that kind of makes you intrigued to read more about it. And then the splash above it as well, that shows that you can't get it anywhere else, so it's going to make you feel like you should buy this magazine over every other magazine. And the bottom splash as well, which is down there, the on-set exclusive, that's a play on words because it's talking about Wolverine, who any fan would know that he's in the X-Men, so it's quite clever. And name dropping again at the side, as usual, so any fans of people like Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, are going to want to read about them, find out about them. And then where it's saying about the 100 greatest heroes and villains in the top, the number 100, that's kind of, it's in big red writing, so that's emphasising just how much content is in the magazine. And also, there are certain things on the magazine which have been kept small, such as the issue number, the date, the website address, the barcode and the publisher. This is because these are items that aren't really going to sell a magazine to a consumer that much.
The picture occupies most of the magazine, which shows the importance. It's the only pictures apart from the banner at the top, which keeps it professional. They are also relying on the reputation of the film to sell it. Usually the characters in the pictures would usually make eye contact with the audience, but they're looking up like they're proud and heroic, like Super Superman's stance perfectly represents the character that is strong, heroical. The costumes fit the colour scheme, like a little bit of red, and shows like different heroes and villains at the top in the banner as well.
The next magazine that we looked at was Empire magazine. And as you can see, this one only has one main image on the cover, and that is the star of Inception. And obviously he's a very famous man, so that's going to draw in all of his fans. They're going to want to read and find out about him. He's also very good looking. He's probably been photoshopped, as most magazine covers are. As a character, he looks very sophisticated, but still at the same time dangerous. And obviously you can see a little prop of the gun down there. So that's an instant giveaway of the genre. You're going to know it's going to have a bit of action in when you see that. He also has a very serious facial expression, so you're going to want to know what he's thinking. And there's also been a cold filter applied to the image, so that makes him look a bit harsher. So maybe he's a cold person. And instead of the white space in the background, we have instead pictures of a city. So that's maybe suggesting where the film's set. And yeah, as that's the only image, all of the emphasis is on Inception, which is a very popular film, so they're kind of relying on that altogether to sell that magazine.
Again, the masthead is big and bold, which has connotations of like danger because it's red. And they've changed this specific one to fit the house style in the colour scheme. Again, it's covered by the image, which shows it's important. The words Christopher Nolan's, or the name even, shows that it's going to be even, no, it's name dropping, sorry, because it's a popular director. The strapline, the Matrix
Meets 007.
It's famous macho movie characters, which shows this one's going to be even better. The splash is very interactive, it stands out and people will want to be involved. And the text at the sides is on a slant, which draws your eye to the centre of the page. Also looks at as though it's like zooming into the middle, like another film, zooming to his mind, sort of thing. Yeah. The layout, you have the barcode at the bottom. It's least important, so it's quite small. Small web address.
Yeah, there it is, yeah. Because it's so small. So, for our next ones, again, we kind of zoomed in a bit onto our genre of horror films. On our first one, we looked at Empire, and this is a cover with Hellboy on it. And as you can see, the title isn't the usual typography. They've made it so it looks as though it's on fire, which has connotations of hell, which perfectly ties in with Hellboy on the front cover. And then below that we have the small web address. Again, it's small because it doesn't really need to be seen. This is very conventional of magazines. It'll always have the small web address, the small issue number, everything like that, the small date. And then they're in red as well, so that fits in with the colour scheme too. The magazine content is in a formal block down the side, so that makes it look really professional, I think. And again, it's name dropping, and the names have been made bigger to catch the eyes of fans. And also we have a rhetorical question. There, point please, the Natalie and Scarlett. Yeah, and that is asking, like, who would you rather choose? So that's kind of playing on, like, the obviously very beautiful actresses, so it's kind of a bit of sex appeal, which just emphasises really how our modern culture is pretty much obsessed with sex. Because then again, in the splash to the side, we have 40 movies that will get you sex. So yeah, it's kind of playing on human interest, what people want to read about. And we also have another splash which says first look, and that makes you think that it's going to be exclusive to that magazine, so you need to buy that magazine to find out what it's going to say. And we have a play on words below that where it says You and Who's Golden Army, because the Hellboy 2 is, I think the Hellboy 2, it's called Hellboy 2 The Golden Army, so it's kind of playing on that. And also, in relation to that, the splashes are in gold, so that all fits together. And Hellboy 2, was a really popular film when it first came out, so that's why they featured that on the cover of the magazine.
There's one central image, makes it professional looking. The images again overlapping the is it masthead, yeah. It shows that the magazine has a good reputation because you don't need to see the full thing. The white space is black, which is kind of shaped connotations of darkness and evil, like hell. It looks scary.
He looks scary.
Oh yeah, he looks scary. How it'd be in the film, you think, oh,
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. It's obviously exactly how he'd be shown in the film.
Yeah,
Because they're not going to show anything different because that's what he's known by.
yeah, and the eye contact makes it a bit mysterious.
Yeah.
The body language shows his strength, how he's stood. He has beads on his wrist. Rosary beads, that's what it is. Which are like religious, which shows binary opposites because he could be a bad man, but then he has good things on his wrist. And then the barcode at the bottom. Just
Okay, so our next one, which is Scurry. Basically, on this one, there's a lot more images on the cover, and we both agreed that we think that this makes it look a little bit less professional than the other ones. It just looks a little bit busy. There's maybe a bit much going on. So I think when we make our own, we'll probably stick to the more basic magazine cover. The main article is about Evil Dead, the new film. So the main image, obviously, is of a character from Evil Dead. And this one again is making direct eye contact with the consumer, so that's going to try and really draw them in. We also have 3 images along the left, and they support the stories that are below them. And again, typical name dropping, so fans of Eli Roth, they're going to want to read about this magazine because they're going to want to find out all about him. And also we have computer generated images such as the hand over here, so it just makes it a bit more appealing to the eye.
Then again, the masthead is the typography is it's like dripping blood. It's not very nice, and and it's like Scream, which obviously when you don't have to read the magazine, you know what it's going to be about. And then there's got this little slogan at the top: blood, guts, gore, and more. The bigger title. Yeah, the title is in big, so you can see it, and it shows it was a popular film when it was released, so when people see it, you know, oh, I know that film, I've seen it. The plus at the bottom makes you intrigued about the other stories, and it captures your attention to read a little bit at the bottom.
It emphasises just how much is in it as well.
Yeah.
So it's got all that looks, it's got this as well.
And then there's a little web address at the top. It promotes the magazine or something. And then there's a little splash just below it has the issue number and prices, and also there's a little barcode.
And that is everything that we have to say about magazine covers and posters. Thank you for watching the vlog.